We are back to recap episode 6 of Australian Survivor Rebels First Time. So, we get a flashback to last episode where Jonathan calls Kelly Hurricane Kelly. Horrible nickname. If I was Kelly, I'd be like, why are you trying to make me look bad? Yeah, it's not a good nickname. I feel bad for Kelly. Anyways, we continue on. So the first thing that we're all probably thinking about is we've been seeing, if you've been looking at the promo ads, which I've definitely been watching, and now the episodes, you know that it's Ferris versus Kirby, this war, best rivalry in Australian Survivor history. Look, obviously it's advertisements, you've got to hype it up. That's not what I'm focused on. What I'm focused on is who is going to win this war. So going into this episode, my instant reaction while going in was that, okay, so I think Ferris is probably going to outlast Kirby. And not just because he has the idol. I think one of the main reasons why I think Kirby will go before Ferris is because if you look at the people on Rebels, right? Because obviously Rebels is like half the cast. If you get the people on Rebels, you got let's go one by one for all the people, or like, majority of the people. Garrick, who is Garrick going to side with? He's going to side with Ferris. Because who is Eileen going to side with? She's going to side with Ferris. Who is Scott going to side with? Don't know. Probably Kirby, based on what we've seen, but we'll get into that later on. Who is Rihanna going to side with? Kirby. Who is Raymond going to side with? Ferris. They have a close relationship, and they also find the idol together. And Ferris has proven that he's a more reliable ally going forward. As for Kirby, she's gone rogue once, and I think people like Eileen and Garrick see that and they go, oh, that's bad news. Because you want to have reliable allies going into the votes, you know. Like, one vote could be the difference between someone staying or going, or getting out the target you want, or being on the bottom. So I think it's definitely something where, for me, I would rather have Ferris as an ally just because so far he's proven that he's the more logical player and he's more predictable. That's another thing you have to take into consideration. Because Alex on Twitter did like a person was like asking for a friend, eyes, whatever emoji. He was like, do you think I'm making the right decision picking the Callum Ferris, that Kirby said his name? And yes, I think Alex is the front runner, and Alex will probably win this season. But besides that, I do think it was the better move because Kirby has been shown that she's willing to do whatever she thinks is in her best interest. And I think Ferris has been shown more as a team player. He's stuck to his word. Like the people like Rihanna, Kelly, Kirby, these people who have kind of gone rogue a little bit on their own. I think if you're like anyone else on the tribe, you're thinking, okay, well, these people have gone rogue once, so they could probably do it again. So for me, that's something I'd be looking out for. So we continue on, and look, we start this episode with Kelly going to the Titans camp, and she didn't really get her story straight, which makes people like Eden a bit suspicious of her, which like, Eden knows the game. Eden's a super fan, has been applying for 8 years. Of course Eden's going to sniff it out. Which was good for Eden, obviously. But of course, Kelly was way too cheerful going into that camp. She's like, yeah, they blindsided me. It's like, why are you so cheerful about it? Like, if you're being in the majority, these are people you genuinely form like real connections with. Yeah, definitely, you're kind of exposing the fact that you're not actually blindsided, or that you just don't care, because no one in a normal situation would be that happy-go-lucky being voted out by your entire tribe unanimously. Like, that's not realistic. Another thing is, I felt like, another thing to talk about is the fact, Scott tells Kirby and Rihanna that Rihanna's name was thrown out there as a potential vote last tribal council. And Kirby says in quote, we need to stay strong. Us three. With Scott confirming to Rihanna, the three of them need to come up with a plan going forward. We head to Titans camp and we get a Nathan confessional about how people don't care about challenges, and Winner even says the closer we get to merch, the more they're going to want the physical people out to the challenges. And it's really surprising for me because coming into this season, Winner was not someone who I expected to be as game savvy. And yes, obviously he's not a super fan, so he's not going to understand everything in the game. But yeah, like it's thoughts like these where I'm like, okay, Winner is someone who was way smarter than you give him credit for, because obviously he's a food eater, right? He's a professional eater. He does TikToks. You probably would assume that he's not the brightest, but no, I think Winner's definitely out of the big boys, aka Nathan, Jaden, and Winner. I think he's definitely the one who has the most potential, even though so far I don't think he's getting the winners any. I think most of his content has been shown in the fact that he's relevant to the story because of circumstance, not because he's the winner of the season. But maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. Another thing is Mark gets a confessional where he basically talks about how he has the idol. Well, okay, he doesn't have the idol yet. He goes to the box. He knows there's an idol in it because of what Kelly is saying. He rips it open. He goes with Viola. He rips it open with physical strength. And I saw people discussing this online if this was allowed. Sure, some Gate thought it was cheating. And I agree. Why was he allowed to open the box beforehand? To me, it was the whole point was to have the key on the box. So the fact that they were opening it up, for me, really was that should not be allowed. The whole point is for him to open it with the box. But that's a controversial opinion. It's fine. Another thing that we're going to be talking about is Viola and Mark tell Valeria. Well, they don't show it on screen, but it's basically confirmed that Viola and Mark are going to tell Valeria that they have the idol. So, and that's in Mark's possession, but it's in Mark's possession, essentially. Valeria stops saying... Oh, another thing I want to bring up is Valeria keeps saying sweet carry-on. Look, I get it the first time. If you bring it up again and again, it gets repetitive and it gets kind of like... I mean, I don't want to say annoying because that sounds really rude to say. But for me, the joke already hit. You don't need to keep repeating yourself. But anyways, I think we head into the... Well, okay, for starters, we head into the reward challenge, where everyone has to split up in pairs with someone on their tribe, and they have to go back-to-back with between two posts, essentially. It's an endurance challenge, so obviously the last pair that stands out wins for their tribe, wins reward. And then, there's a rope, and they have to make sure they don't grab the rope, but they also have to make sure they don't grab the wall, the stuff to make... So basically, it's just leaning on someone, making sure you don't fall, and that you don't touch anything, which, good challenge. And even my brother saw, a TikTok thing, and he was like, yeah, that's actually a really dope challenge. And I'm like, I know, it is a good challenge. And I've said this before. I think Australian Survivor is doing better, or is this season, they're getting way better when it comes to diversity and challenges. And these challenges are, yes, some of them are physical, but at the same time, I think challenges like this definitely even the playing field, and that's what I like to see. I like to see that. I think more puzzles and more endurance and all of this stuff, I think it's better. I think it's great, and I'm really excited to see what else they come up with, because there's been a lot of challenges this season which they've never done before, so that's sick. So I've got to give credit to Viola and Valeria for not giving up during the challenge, because that fall was nasty. Viola, I am genuinely so sorry, because that fall was so bad. It was so bad. It was oh my god. Oh my god, I feel so bad. I mean, great TV moment. It's kind of like Matthew falling off the rock in 44, but at the same time, it's awesome moment to see on camera, But in the moment, it's like, oh, that would hurt. That would suck. Oh my god! And I have a low pain tolerance, so I can react. I would be that would suck. That would be awful. Rebels end up winning the reward challenge. Charles and Kitty were communicating through the challenge, and I thought it was good. Even though most of the castaways were doing that, like communicating, talking it through. And I feel like in a challenge like this, you have to communicate. You have to be talking to people. You have to be going like, okay, how are you feeling? Do you need me to go up or down? What do you want to do? Do you want to rest on my head? Do you want to go down on my shoulder? Like, I think for me, it was really, like, that's communication is key in challenges like this, because without communication, you're basically fucked. You're not going to win. Going into, well, here's the thing. We go to Rebels, and Ferris finds another idol. Oh my god, go Ferris. And he finds it with Raymond, and I was like, oh, this is a good bonding experience. That's great. But then, generally, like, well, it says a minute. I say a minute later, but it's going to be, I don't know, maybe 5-10 minutes later, depending on how because obviously it's edited. Pretty much instantly, Ferris is going around telling people he has the idol. And from what I know, the whole tribe ends up knowing that he has the idol. Which, yeah, why are you doing that? Like, idols, the reason why idols work so well is because people don't know you have it. If you have a public idol, regardless, yes, idols are good in the sense that you can scare people into not wanting to vote you. But at the same time, we've seen in Australian Survivor before, especially in Australian Survivor, we've seen people literally target people just because they have an idol. And I think everyone thinking that he has a second idol is probably not the best thing you want to do when it comes to your threat management, because, I mean, he's already played an idol. Yes, you might say that it wasn't played correctly, but I've seen, and everyone knows, that you need to play your idol if you think you're in danger. Yeah, it's just a safety net. It's security. It's not a safety net. It's security. It's security in the game to make sure that you stay that extra day. So I honestly don't blame Ferris for playing the idol last round. I also think that, yeah, don't tell people you have an idol. You could have used this to bond with Raymond, but now Raymond's probably, I mean, maybe Raymond will still be on your side, but at the same time, if I was Raymond and I found the idol with you and then you proceed to tell it the rest of the tribe, I'd be like, why did you do that? Like, I also don't understand telling Alex but not Sarah on screen. Like, Alex and Sarah have been in the outs this entire time from Rebels, and they know they're on the outs. You think they're not going to tell each other? Like, okay. And they're also trying to make inroads with with everyone not in the Cuddle crew anymore, because the Cuddle crew is essentially just the Cuddle, because there's no crew anymore. Tobias is gone, Peter is gone. So that was just something I thought to mention. I also feel like I'm in Milk. I get it in the sense that as I said, I understand why Ferris wanted to do that, but at the same time, I just don't think that was a smart move. Threat management wise is your main priority, other than not getting back out, obviously. Those are the two things I'd be focused on. Because you're not gonna win this game or get to the end if your threat management is fucking up here. It's not gonna happen, man. So we go back to Titan's camp, and Carrion is rationalizing food. And Nathan, Jaden, and Winter are like, fuck that. They're like, she won't let us eat. Which, if you're eating the majority of food at camp, if you're eating triple the amount everyone else is, I honestly don't blame Carrion for being a bit pissed off about that. I don't understand what the quote big boys, aka Jaden, Winter, and Nathan were upset about. Because clearly you guys eating isn't helping. You keep using immunity, so here's the thing. It's been even so far. But in the sense that you guys are not clearly you guys eating a lot of food isn't helping you win any more challenges than it would be if you didn't eat it. Because you're still stacking up the same as the other tribe. So to me, it's kind of pointless. But yeah, obviously you don't want to be that person who tells people they can't eat. Look, as much as I think it's a stupid reason to talk for anyone to be pissed off at Carry-On, little things like that can rub people the wrong way and make them think, oh, I don't want to work with her, or she's got to go. So, because obviously, if you're the big guys, you're going to be thinking, oh my god, I want to eat more, I want to eat more. But you need to think about your long term in the game, because it's like you're starving on an iron, man. Like, you gotta stop being so selfish and think about, like, here's the thing. When it comes to the game of Survivor, think about yourself. When it comes to surviving on an island, which is different, you need to don't be stealing food and stuff. I mean, we're seeing stuff like this before in like Survivor, versus Gen X, where people like Taylor and Jay will steal food, and then we're seeing it backfire from people. Like, don't do that. Just a heads up. I mean, they didn't end up doing it, but just some advice. Like, don't do that. The Muni Challenge was not an obstacle course, or like I want to call it an obstacle course because it's just easier to explain it that way. At the end of Hagietis, you have to make a phrase with, and the whole. Let's talk about Callie setting out for Rebels. So first of all, we'll get into basically the whole point of people voting out Callie was to quote sabotage the other tribe, and then if she sabotages successfully, she gets to go back to Rebels. Which, why didn't you do an immunity challenge if that was like that? Like, I don't understand that. That seems kind of pointless to me. And on top of that, it's kind of like if you're gonna vote. I mean, here's the thing: Callie didn't even compete in the challenge. She literally sat out, and then we'll get into why I think it's controversial in a second. But yeah, the challenge happened, and I mean, look, they're swimming to grab puzzle pieces on rafts, so it's a very team-oriented challenge. So people are screaming together, and it's kind of funny. Like on the rafts, Barris was like screaming together, together, as they were like pushing with the paddle in the water, which I thought was really funny. I think another thing was like I noticed that. I mean, here's the thing: Barris was definitely coming out clutch, with same with Raymond for figuring out the puzzle, the phrase essentially, which was rebels are immune, and with the help of Ian. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I'll give you guys credit there. That was actually pretty smart. Obviously, the other tribe just started copying them, which, like, yeah, I really wish that wasn't. Look, I get why people copy other people, and I get why it's allowed, but at the same time, it's kind of like they didn't come up with the phrase. So I don't want to see that on my screen. Another thing to point out was Alex. Okay, so Rebels ended up winning immunity. So Callie, who sat out the challenge, is immune. Well, is going back to Rebels camp and isn't going to tribal council. And I was a bit confused because I was like, this just like, well, she sat out of the challenge. Callie sat out the immunity challenge. And because she sat out the immunity challenge, I was like, well, technically, you guys said she had to throw it. She didn't throw it. And Callie even did a confessional where she was literally like, oh, I didn't even throw it. And I was like, exactly. So why does it count? Like that, like if Callie herself literally does the confessional saying it doesn't count because she didn't. Well, she didn't throw it. In my book, don't count it. And another thing is, why was that the requirement that they decided to pick? Because the thing for me is like, one, they lost the immunity challenge, so why did they get to sabotage the other team? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. For last episode. And then another thing was, let's say Callie, like, does go to tribal. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense. Like, if you're Callie, she didn't throw the challenge, and she essentially got to fuck over the Titans just because. I mean, here's the thing. How can you not throw an immunity challenge is my question. Like, they should have made it a disparate task. Because here's the thing. You know how easy it is to just grab a piece and, like, hold it hostage or, like, just tip it across. Like, to me, I don't understand why Callie sat out. That doesn't make sense to me. I mean, here's the thing. She sat out because she said she wanted to stay on their camp, but at the same time, when it comes to the twist, it doesn't make sense. And two, with her, I mean, as I said before, with her essentially just going, her not throwing it, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I know I'm not stuttering here, I'm not struggling to say stuff, but the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm trying to process how it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me why people are like, oh, okay, Kelly is going to be going to, well, Kelly gets to throw the challenge, and it's like, okay, but like, why is that the task? Like, it doesn't make sense. Australian Survivor, like, in the future, like, I do like that you guys haven't done someone coming back into the game, and I really hope you guys don't do that. But at the same, like, this season and going forward, but at the same time, it's like, I don't understand why you guys felt the need to do this, because it just seems kind of pointless. Like, if I'm one of the Titans who had won the immunity challenge, so let's say they won the immunity challenge, and then they go into tribal council, and it's like, okay, they go to tribal council, they have to vote someone out, and it's like, okay, but someone was literally throwing the challenge, so that doesn't help me. Like, if I'm literally any of the Titans and I saw this twist, I'd be like, this is a dumb twist. like straight up. And I don't want to say that because I do think Australian Survivor has done some pretty decent twists in the past, but it just didn't make sense to me. So we head back to Titans camp. Whoop-de-doo. Oh my god, so cool, bro. Yeah, so Alex, I need you to explain something to me, bro. So you were celebrating and you were pretending to drink the trophy, and I was like, first of all, don't do that. That's gonna make you look really bad. Even though, in hindsight, Alex is the front runner in my opinion, based on the edit. So I guess it really doesn't matter in hindsight if that is the case. But from a strategic aspect, once again, why are people flexing and trying to make spectacles out of it? They're just putting a target on their back and exposing the fact that they're probably going to be OG Tribe Strong going forward, which is not what you want. It's not what you want at all, because you're cutting yourself off from potential allies and groupings later on. So another thing we have to talk about is Carry-On does a confessional where she tells us she wants Nathan gone. She wants to do a Spitfire on Nathan and Jaden in case of an idol. Yeah, pretty average plan. I mean, I don't blame her. Pretty decent plan. I mean, I'd probably do the same. Even though I would do it on Winner and Nathan, I wouldn't do it on Jaden just because I think he's the least threatening out of the three of them. Because just based on talking to Jaden, I think you could tell he definitely would know the least about the game, which is no shade to him, but it's just the reality of the situation. You want to be voting out the people who actually know how to play it. And then we go into Marcus Confessional, and he talks about him being in the middle-aged mafia, which is himself, Eden, Kitty, and Carry-On, and the trio with himself, Valeria, and Viola. And I was like, okay, I mean, yeah, pretty much. And then afterwards, Mark can tell that Carry-On is sus of him, which is a good read because, as we know, she is worried that Mark is more loyal to the two Vs, aka Viola and Valeria, compared to the middle-aged mafia. And Viola and Mark want Carry-On gone because of just speculation with the idol, and also because she keeps going up to people in conversation at one-on-one and won't let people talk. Which, yeah, I mean, I get why you would do. I understand from Carry-On some seconds why you would do that, but yeah, I mean, you're obviously kind of showing your cards and putting your foot down, which is not what you want to do. It's giving when is that for? When Boston Rob was it's also that camp and not discuss the vote. It's like the body system again. And we all saw how that worked out. I mean, Boston Rob got voted out unanimously, so that didn't work out. So, I mean, the main thing that I take back from this is so Mark and Viola want Carry-On gone. And based on the edit, I'm assuming Belleria is also on board, but we didn't get a confessional from her talking about her thoughts on the matter. And we get Mark talking about how, yeah, obviously he wants Carry-On gone because she's sus of him. And yeah, once again, that's another good read. They're both sus of each other, which is good, but at the same time, we go into tribal council. And, well, before we go into tribal council, let's talk about the idol situation. In case anyone is confused, the idol situation is Ferris has a public, well, I say public idol because I don't know specifically who knows about Ferris's idol. But based on the edit, I'm pretty sure it's public. It's a public idol that everyone knows that Ferris supposedly has, or at least is telling people. He hasn't, the only person who knows and has seen it is Raymond. Even though I think Ferris has probably shown Garrick as well, if I had to guess. Just because if remember the previous episode when Garrick and Ferris found the idol together in the box. And then another thing is Mark has the idol on Titans, and Viola knows he has it, and they planned on telling Valeria about it. I'm pretty sure Valeria knows about it because that's what they said they were going to tell her, but we didn't get a confessional. Well, okay, we did. We did get a confessional from Valeria saying it's good that Mark and Viola are her main alliance and have the idol, but I never saw footage of them actually showing Valeria the idol. So that's interesting to think about. The way Mark was talking to Viola was also interesting to me in the sense that I feel like Mark is trying to make him and Viola the tight too, because Viola was talking about, Mark was talking about how we have this 4 crew going on. I have this 4 crew going on, and we have this trio going on. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. The way he's phrasing it definitely made me a bit should he be phrasing it like that if the two V's, the V from Vendettas are best friends and actually working together and are a duo? Maybe they're not a duo. Maybe the perception is everyone thinks they're a duo, but it's actually Mark and Valeria or Mark and Viola. But we'll have to get more content to figure that out. Another thing was, let's talk about the vote, right? So obviously, Carry-On, she wants to split votes on Jaden and Nathan, with the majority going on Nathan. Pretty decent plan, as I said before. And then we go to Mark and Viola's plan, or hypothetical plan, which would be them voting out Carry-On, so it would be Mark, Viola, and Valeria, aka the trio, as the editor's kind of showing us. The 3 of them, then it would be the other outsiders on the tribe. And sort of trio, but they're kind of just on the bottom, so they're kind of forced to work together in a sense, which is Winner, Jaden, and Nathan, aka the big boys that people keep calling them, right? Or challenge boys, or whatever. The meat tray, if you really want to call it that, but I wouldn't call it that. And, look, my instant reaction was, that is a horrible move. Why would you do that? Why would you keep Nathan around? Because Mark literally said in the confessional, he's like, I don't have a reaction. No one has a bunch of people basically were like, no one has a relationship with Nathan. And I was like, then why are you trying to keep him around? That doesn't make sense to me. Mark is a fan of Australian Survivor. He knows, he's a super fan, supposedly, right? If he's a super fan, like he's claims to be, he would know that Australian Survivor normally swaps after the 5th round. I'm pretty sure in almost every season, if not all seasons of Australian Survivor, after the 5th Tribal Council, they do a tribe swap. If Mark is actually a super fan, he should know that. He should know that, dividing the tribe and pissing off Eden, Kenny, is unnecessary. You don't need to do that. Because if you do that, you're almost never going to get people like Eden and Kenny back on your side. And they're not going to want to vote out one of their own in the middle-aged mafia. We've seen Eden says that's his main alliance. And Kenny and Carry-On are like this. They're like a duo. So I don't know. I don't really understand why Mark was so gung-ho about getting out Carry-On from a strategic standpoint. And the fact that it was even up to debate kind of scares me for Mark's thinking in the game, where it's like, in hindsight, we go to Tribal Council, and the votes come out pretty... Well, first of all, let's just read out how the votes go at Tribal Council. But before we read out how the votes go, let's talk about Charles, because I was curious where Charles was in all this. I didn't know if they were telling Charles about the vote, but I don't know. But the 6 hypothetically would be, as I said, it would be Jaden, Nathan, Winner, Mark, Viola, Valeria. And I was like, dividing your tribe up straight away is awful. Like, don't do that. That's a horrible decision. Don't do that. But yeah, we go into Tribal Council, and it's a 6-3-1 vote, with Nathan going home with 6 votes, 3 votes being put on Jaden, and 1 vote being put on Caroline, which is Nathan's vote. So we see Viola, Kitty, and Eden vote Jaden, and we see everyone else, aka Caroline, Charles, Mark, Jaden, Winner, and Valeria all vote for Nathan. And look, I mean, Nathan definitely had one of those interesting journeys where it was like, it's not that I was rooting against Nathan, it was more of like, I don't care about challenges. Challenges are something that I don't look for in a Survivor player. And when it comes to the strategic aspect of the game, I mean, Nathan definitely made his alliances too public. I think that definitely put a target on his back. I mean, he lost his closest ally round 1, which is horrible. That's awful for the game. But I can go into a deep dive on Nathan in another video. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's interesting that we're going into a swap next, and I'm really excited for it because obviously we'll get new dynamics, we'll get new gameplay, we'll get probably cross-tribal alliances, and really, these should be defining what goes into the merge, what happens after we merge. Well, these are oh my god. These are what starts the potential army going into merge. So that's really exciting. I also want to just point out, like, I have been really loving this. I think this season is extremely good. Like, so far, like, the production value is amazing. I think the editing is better. It's better than it used to be. I'll say that, which is good because Train Survive has always had a problem where the editing has been an issue. And then last but not least, like, I genuinely, like, this cast, I'm happy we got a bunch of super fans. As I've said before, it's really dope. I really love it. But anyways, that's all I had to say to recap episode 6 of Australian Survivor. Thank you all for watching, and till episode 7 when I recap. Peace out.